compute with scientific notation, you want to make sure that you have your calculator before we begin. Multiplication with scientific notation. Example number 1. Evaluate 7.2 times 10 to the third power times the quantity 1.6 times 10 to the fourth power. Express the result in scientific notation. So here I have color-coded it for you. I've taken 7.2 and 1.6, the factor part, and grouped them together. We're going to multiply these two numbers together, and you can do this on your calculator. You get 11.52. Take the other part, the 10 to the power part, okay? 10 to the power of 3 times 10 to the power of 4. Now from a previous lesson, you know that when you have like bases and you're multiplying them, you keep the base and you add the exponent. So keep base 10 and add the exponent 3 plus 4. So 3 plus 4 gives you 7. So now I have 10 to the 7th power. Now this looks like it's almost in scientific notation, but not quite. Remember that this front portion of scientific notation must be between 1 and 10, and 11 is not between 1 and 10. So I need to move this decimal. I need to move the decimal one place to the left, which means that I'm going to have to increase the exponent by 1 as well. So it becomes 1.152 times 10 to the 8th power. Division with scientific notation. Example number 2. In 2010, the world population was about 6,860,000,000. The population of the U.S. was about 3 times 10 to the 8th power. About how many times, that's a key phrase we've used before, how many times larger is the world population than the population of the U.S.? Let's estimate the world population in scientific notation. So 6,860,000,000. That's about 7 billion. 7 billion. All right, and we want it in scientific notation. So I'm going to have to move my decimal 3, 6, 9 places. So in scientific notation, this would be 7 times 10 to the 9th power. That's the world population. Now, because it says how many times larger, we're comparing the world population to that of the U.S., we're going to divide. So we're going to have 7 times 10 to the 9th power divided by 3 times 10 to the 8th power. We want to see how many times the U.S. population will fit into the world population. All right, now to do division, you're just going to say 7 divided by 3. We're going to group these together. 7 divided by 3, and we're going to have 10 to the 9th divided by 10 to the 8th. All right. 10 to the 9th divided by 10 to the 8th, that's an exponent rule that you should be familiar with. Remember, when dividing like bases, you subtract the exponents. So we say 9 minus 8, which gives us 1. All right, so when you divide this, it doesn't come out perfect, but it comes out to be about 2.3. Let me check on my calculator. 7 divided by 3, about 2.3, and it's repeating. We're just going to round it for these purposes, and it's times 10 to the first power. Well, 10 to the first power is just 10, so 2.3 times 10 is 23. So let's conclude. The world population is about 23 times larger than the U.S. population. Vic number 1. To add or subtract in scientific notation, both numbers must have the same power of 10. Adding with scientific notation. Example 3. All right, 6.89 times 10 to the 4th plus 9.24 times 10 to the 5th. You have to make sure both exponents are the same as the larger exponent. I have 4 and 5 as my exponents. 5 is bigger, so I need to convert this first number to have the same exponent. So they both need to be 5s. In order to do this, you saw me do it a minute ago, I need to change this first number. So I need this to be 1 bigger, which means I need to move my decimal 1 place to the left. So now it becomes 0.689. Now these two are in the same format. They both have 10 to the power of 5. I can group these together with addition because it's an addition problem. And now I only need to write 10 to the 5th power once. You simply add these. You can do that in your calculator or by hand. You get 9.929 times 10 to the 5th power. You move the decimal to the left the same amount the exponent must increase. So I moved my decimal one place to the left because my exponent needed to increase by 1. If my exponent needed to increase by 3, I'd move my decimal 3 places to the left. You'll have some more practice with this. Subtracting with scientific notation. Example number 4. 7.83 times 10 to the 8th minus 11,610,000. First, you need to change this so it's in scientific notation. Now, to do that, the decimal's here. It needs to be between the two ones. Remember, only one digit in front of the decimal, so that way it's between 1 and 10. Count your spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 1.161 times 10 to the 7th power. Remember from our previous Vic that they need to have the same exponent. Well, this one's 7 and that one's 8, so we want to make them both the larger one. Make them both 8. This 7 needs to increase by 1. So this decimal must move one place to the left. Okay? Anytime you increase the exponent, you always move to the left. So here it is now, 0.1161 times 10 to the 8th. And now that we have the same exponents, we can go ahead and group them and subtract. So put these two pieces together because they're the same kind of number. And you can type that in your calculator or do it by hand, 7.7139. And then we just write 10 to the 8th one time. Any questions?